Chairman and CEO of Applied Digital. Wes, good to have you back.
Thanks, David. Good to be here.
I mentioned those numbers. You know, I wonder, at what point does the pace of sort of these deal signings have to slow so your operations can catch up, or is that not an issue?
So for us, we spent the past 24 months actually designing our organization of how we scale for these builds. And then we've put in place what we call a franchise model. So we have the core of it, which is our core design team, our core operations team, our core construction team. And then we franchise that across these different campuses. So we have 4 campuses now. And then we put the right people in place on the campuses, and this allows us to scale. Now, there is a limitation that starts to show up at some point. We're not there yet from a supply chain perspective. So from our MEP, our mechanical, our electrical, our plumbing. So we have to deal with that. But we've decided, or we've planned inside the company, that we can get to about 7 at least of these campuses in flight at the same time. So we have 4 right now. We said we're marketing several others, but we think right now we can scale the business up to construct about 7 of these.
7 of them. I mean, you talk about marketing more than 1.7 gigawatts of additional capacity, so that certainly would argue for a 5th campus, I guess, fairly soon?
Hopefully fairly soon. We have those in flight. It's always hard to predict exactly when we'll sign these, but we think that we have, you know, a 5th, a 6th, and kind of a 7th in flight, and that's where our limit is right now, and hopefully we can, you know, maybe expand that in the future, but that's a significant amount of construction that we'll be doing across 7 campuses. What we can't do, what we don't do is these large, you know, gigawatt within 2 years or 2.5 years on the same campus. You start to run out of, like, the economies of scale go up so far and then they collapse, and that's our opinion. So can we build 300 megawatts at a time across 7 campuses? Absolutely. Can we build a gigawatt at the same time on 1? We think that's really hard.
How much connected power do you have right now, and how much will you have next year?
So connected, we have 1 building running out of that. So we have about 8% of what's contracted that's actually online. You see that in our results from the past quarter. Another one turns on in the next about 6 weeks, and then they just have a cadence of 2 more turn on before the end of the year. And then as we get out into 2027, it just keeps turning on each building. So we had that first building turned on in November of last year, and so we've had that operating for about 6 months.
You know, the identity of this hyperscaler anchor, I think it's for both Delta Forge 1 and Polaris Forge 3. A lot of investors, you haven't told us who it is, and I wonder why, given how important it would seem to be to your overall business.
So it's, you know, we gave enough of who that could be. So we said it's a high investment grade hyperscaler, and so that basically means 4 companies, right? So that's you know, between Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and Meta. So it's one of those 4. But at the end,
what if we play 20 questions?
but really, at the end of this, the way I think about this, and the reason we don't really push to have the customer name, they prefer that, right? What is the upside of their name being attached to it? We're the ones that control the campus. If anything goes wrong, then it's us. It's not their campus, right, that is having a problem. So there's really no upside in it. And for me, I think about the long game here for our company. If our customers don't want to be named, I want to continue to do more business with those customers. So why would I push really hard to name those? I think having one of those 4, does it really matter which one it is?
Although,
I don't think so.
Is it another way of saying that because of the local pushback to data centers as a concept, that it's something these companies don't want to have their name attached to?
So there's some of that, but really addressing that where we build our data centers in these small towns, they're dying to have these projects there, right? So if I were adding another data center in Dallas or another one in Northern Virginia or another one in Atlanta, I'm going to get a lot more pushback, or in one of those suburbs, right? But we're going to towns so Ellendale, North Dakota, 1,100 people, Harwood, 800 people, Boyce, Louisiana, 600 people. These towns, historic agricultural communities, they have been shrinking for the past, 2-3 decades. They're looking for this boost to their economy, and they actually really welcome us in. We have a track record of having a fantastic relationship and a huge positive impact on these communities. So we choose these specifically because they want these projects where we're building them versus trying to just stick another project in a place that has 100 or 200 data centers, or is a city that doesn't really need that economic boost. So that's really our selection. So it's not that, it's just the overall, some confidentiality about, look, if we have a problem on the site, there's some of these sites that have been named, and I could give specific examples of this, but when a problem happens with slow construction or something going on the site like that, it becomes that hyperscaler site. It's not whoever the builder is, it's just turned into a hyperscaler, and then if you're the hyperscaler, you don't actually control the project, but you get your name tagged to it in every single negative news article. So they don't really want to deal with that either.